And the model with bringing companies to the UK for them to make lots of money is, well, look, we're Indian in this room. Has anybody seen the share price of Tata Motors? It's at an all-time high. It wasn't for a long time, but it's at an all-time high. And you know Tata bought Jaguar Land Rover in the UK, and it's actually the Jaguar Land Rover unit out of the UK which is driving the business. Ironically, out of sick man Europe, credit crunch, which is driving, how much was it a couple of years ago, £1 billion in profits out of their UK entity, when people said, well, I didn't know Britain made cars, as opposed to India, which a couple of years ago was growing at 10% and so on. So what I'm going to do is turn some of the conventional, dangerous conventional wisdom on its head with hard data, not with just me as an entrepreneur saying, oh, guess what, this is what I believe. Why should you care what I believe? My circumstances might have been just peculiar and lucky to me. I'm going to turn on its head based on the hard data and the facts that we've got, because we've seen some of the companies, not just out of India, but other parts of the world, do exactly what nobody would have expected. And everybody thought, how stupid can you be? Why would you want to start car manufacturing in an expensive economy which has got next to no growth at that time in a free trade zone which is on the brink of a credit crunch and collapse, as opposed to India growing at 10%, where everybody will fall at your feet if you want to open a car plant. Well, the Gujarat government did. They said, please open over here, and we've seen what's happened. Now, that's not the only example. That's a particularly stark example which serves my purpose. Of course, the reality is you co-locate. You have your Indian operations, you have your British operations, you have your global operations. And I'll go into how the model in which some of the companies have done it. So my data source is not just what we've found from the government, but it's also others who have set up in the UK, angel investors, what they've invested in VCs and so on. So that's my source of data. The main reason these companies come to us is twofold. And I'd say 25% come because to land and grow and go global from the UK, they need funding, whether it's funding from angels, which will mean up to about $5 million US, maybe $3 to $5 million US worth. I'll speak in dollars, it'll be easier. Or 75% need business development help. They need door opening. They want somebody who will say to them, look, Alpesh, if you can help us find a cornerstone customer who will generate the revenues for us, of course we'll set up in the UK because we want to be close to our customer. We want to be able to service them. We want to show the credibility that we are global. We want to give the reassurance to the customer that we also have a British company, which costs all of $150 US to set up, but more than that, that we've got a footprint there, that we've got the capacity to be global, think global, and as I say, to service them. So they'll often say, can you find me the customer? Now, when I say customer, I don't mean somebody from India importing to the UK. The Indian government will happily help you with that. The way governments around the world work is that your domestic government helps you with trying to import into another country. What we're looking at is inward investment. We're looking at companies which will be looking to set up in the UK. Now, I'll come to costs and so on in a second, but what's more important than costs is strategic reasons for doing it. Who does it? Why do they do it? How do they do it? Has it worked for them? And most importantly, we're all TIE members. Does it make you money doing it? And how do we calculate whether it's going to make us money? It's very easy to spend money. What we're more interested in, how much money are we going to make and who's making money doing this. So that's what I'm going to talk about. 75% want that door opening. The biggest issue they have with door opening is this. Do I get the customer first or do I set up first? If I get the customer first, that would be great, because then I've got organic revenues coming, which I can reinvest domestically, get at least the one-man office with the salesperson initially, maybe then move across more substantially. Or do I set up first, which is going to be more expensive, I'm going to incorporate the company there, I'm going to move the intellectual property there, one of the senior entrepreneurs who's co-founded the company is going to be there. That is a far bigger, more substantial commitment, which many companies may not be able to make on day one because of the time commitment, the cost commitment. So how do they do that calculation? I'll explain to you the types of companies and the nature in which ones fall into which category and what would make more sense depending on your own circumstances. So 75% want the business development, organic revenue through which to set up, go global, as opposed to get investment, which is what 25% want. Who gets funded? Most of the companies I deal with have, I sort of call it 1 million, 1 million, 1 million in common. This is what it is. Either they will have $1 million in investment to date. This is not all of them, but most of them. They'll have found investors either through initially bootstrapping, the famous friends, family, fools, and then maybe some seed investors, maybe some angel investors. They'll have got to at least $1 million in inward investment. This is into their company. This is the ones who set up in the UK, most of them. Or they'll have $1 million in sales. And I know these are huge numbers, but it gives you an idea of at which stage they think about setting up. Or they will have 1 million customers, 1 million leads, email addresses, whatever it is. The example of that is the sort of the Facebook equivalent. It'll be somebody who has 0 revenues, hasn't set up, it's at the idea stage, but they've got 1 million subscribers, people interested, whatever it is, they've got traction. Might not be 1 million, but it'll be some significant figure which captures the attention of potential investors, people who are willing to put money in. So somebody might say, you know what, I'll give you 500,000 because the traction you've got, even though you're pre-revenue, but because you've got traction. Now, if somebody just comes along, as they sometimes do, with just an idea, as you can imagine, those are the least likely, never mind to set up abroad, they're the least likely to get funded. That doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out. Those are the ones who are going to have to rely on friends and family to get them funded, because it's going to take, when you're pre-revenue with just an idea, it's going to take somebody who loves you to give you money. So that's one separate category, but otherwise it's the million, million, million. As a rule of thumb,